Okay, here we are in a bird's eye top-down view because as I've been reflecting on 2023 and results and ups and downs and experiences and growth and all of that, I have been thumbing through my bullet journal. So I thought for my own future benefit, as well as anyone else who, like me, likes to peek in on other people's creative process, as well as the hobby of sort of collage-y bullet journaling or organization or any of that, enjoy, but mostly for myself for the future to sort of track my progress. And so I've been keeping track in both my annual journal, which has this little outside part, which I've discussed in the past, that has sort of the top priorities, word of the year and whatnot, which was beauty, witnessing and creating beauty, as well as the quarterly book. So it actually ends up not being quarterly. They each have 4 months, but there's 4 of these. So I'm just gonna flip through the quarterly books and pull out the key gleanings, and it'll be sort of a little flip through, and I'll chat about highlights and what went on at that time, as well as how I'll be doing things coming up this year. So this book is actually, as it says, the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. And so that was the end of quarter 4. And then we got into January, which in recent years I've been taking as gentle January, or sort of a slow and reflective and thoughtful start to the year, and not necessarily rushing in with everything ready to go with all of my projects in motion, but with a little more thought and establishing most basic habits. So for example, establishing the bullet journaling habit, and also things like meditation in this case, planning, creative challenges. I started Inktober. I didn't end up continuing that all year, but I did start in January and did a few drawings. And you can see I was still reflecting on that previous year at the beginning of this year, and starting in with classes and coaching and creating and writing and blogs and videos and all of that good stuff. So I also had a little theme through my decorations of these vintage or stamps I've received, or stamps that have been mailed, things have been mailed to me, or things like that, decorative stamps, and a really little festive, wintry, still continuing the 12 Days of Christmas theme. And then I've got some family stuff, glows and highlights and grows. I'm not going to share all of the details of those things, but I did keep a media record as well. So as I look back at my favorite music and books and media, that will be where I'm picking those out. This postcard, by the way, is from an art exhibit, and in my notes I highlight that culture and the arts were a big part of my enjoyment of beauty and my fulfillment of my word of the year in January, including, as we see here, ballet, theater, film, poetry, a little getaway, which included some museum, teaching, things that I was publishing, writing, and practicing. And I feel like these reflections in many cases are incomplete. I intended, I guess, to write and reflect more about how I was feeling and pluses and minuses, but I do that much more every day in my daily log, and also in a lot of different places, in my emails, in my blog, in my morning pages. So maybe I'm okay with these reflections just being sort of a distillation of highlights. I read the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and that was a really great one. Love Taylor Jenkins Reid, I believe, is the author of that. It was great, and listened to a lot of great music. Yeah, films and things. So I track that kind of stuff because I like to look back on it, and we'll see about what my favorites were from the year. So then I have my January weeklies. Those I distilled into my monthly, so I don't really need to read back in these in detail, but I could. And I added more decorations. This is sort of after the pen, more ephemera from events that we see when we went to the ballet and when we went to the museum and to a poetry event at this venue. And then we're into February. Carnival is a big highlight of Cologne in February. Some reading and cooking and different sorts of goals. And Valentine's Day, of course, was lovely. Continuing to teach and create content. I read some more of the Veronica Speedwell mysteries over the course of the year. So fun, so fun. If you like a cozy mystery, recommend. And Real Artists Don't Starve was a pretty good audiobook. And here's that art exhibit that we saw in February. I'm tracking certain things, but you'll see that I don't do them consistently 100%. I'm always sending out emails and sometimes creating and publishing video. Took the focus off my podcast this year, blogged a bit, and did a lot more teaching and writing sort of in other venues. And it's important to my general well-being that I track a few of these things, and in lieu of other sorts of trackers, I just sort of have been noting those down on a weekly basis, and then I can roll that over. Lots of fun carnival stuff. And Valentine's, and this weird cat monkey coffee that our neighbors brought back from Indonesia. And then we get into a year of planning spreads that are also in the mix here. Monthly refresh and self-care. That's from Jashi Koren. And we had some early drafts of schedules, another spread that was inspired by Jashi Koren, all about me. Mid-month goal check-in and some swatching. And that is the first quarter one. So then here we are in the second quarterly book. I love the sticker that I got here in Cologne. And this was a really great tea that I bought this year, loose leaf tea. And I keep a bit of an index usually, and this was a fun little mood cover page for spring because we're starting this journal in March. And I just sort of ran with green. This is a baking soda packet, but I just think it's so, so classic. In March, my emphases were on Eating Disorders Awareness Week and Women's History Month, Women's Day, through a Women's Day yoga class. That was really a good experience for me. Met some new people that way and learned about sort of working in that way where I can share special classes and special workshops with events or holidays, and connect with more like-minded people that way. Creating sales pages, working on my website was another great highlight of the year. Some of that happened in March, some snacks and foods and financial fun and wanting to buy tickets to go home, which I did end up doing. And yeah, lots and lots of things going on in March. March, of course, is usually a pretty eventful month, and I did keep track of some key metrics for the month there in more detail on this one. I don't always do that on a monthly basis. And I got sick, and I got a new credit card. I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful about how I'm using credit cards to my benefit, points and things like that, so that, so I can move forward with my financial goals. Love spring, so this whole month is just really spring-centric and green, and we had some fun bowling with friends. Here's that Women's Day yoga. And I applied for an academic position, which I did not get, but applying was a good experience. I love teaching in higher education, but I also love teaching in a lot of different settings and coaching and creating and so yeah, I also love teaching in higher education, so I'm always interested in those sorts of opportunities, especially when they pop up in my neighborhood. But I'm also not attached to that, so that is cool. Did a round of spring cleaning, which felt so good. And voila, we have Q1 review, which, like the monthly spreads, here we have a theme, feels a bit incomplete to me. There's a piece that I didn't do anymore, sort of wrapping it up, narrative, summary, or anything like that, but it does summarize mostly in metrics, which is great. They're nice measurable things that I can see what I actually did to work towards my goals, which is my approach to goals these days, is less what the outcome is that I don't control and more what is the input that I do control. And in these main focus areas that have become the main sort of 9 areas in which I look and measure and try to tweak and improve to create and to be who I want to be and create the life I want to be living. So reading, that quarter I read 9 books, and writing is important. So I wrote emails, blogs, morning pages, and letters. Not as many letters as I intended to, but did great with 11 emails, 5 blogs, 52 morning pages. And then in the area of creating, I made 10 videos, did 4 podcasts, not bad. 41 Instagram posts, 2 choreographies, and improvised 31 times. I was measuring improv, and while that's a regular part of my practice and I want to make sure I'm doing it regularly, I'm not sure that tracking in that way is necessary, but a habit needs to be set up. And then practicing things like yoga, physical therapy, meditation, working out, expressing gratitude and abundance. I'm not a person, I applaud people who share transparently about their actual financial numbers, but to me that's personal, so I'm not going to share that. But I do have goals in the area of sustainment that have to do with income, that have to do with profit and savings, expenses, new clients, new students, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it's good to keep an eye on those things. In the area of service, yes, I had a workshop that I taught, 1 workshop that quarter, as well as 98 classes. I was measuring calls that I was making to sort of friends and loved ones. And I did not somehow finish this part with email subscribers, YouTube subscribers, and Instagram followers. But I have that elsewhere, I think. So I need to follow up. See, this is great to identify. I need to follow up on those things. Did record about adventures and some highlights and things, but we'll pick that back up in order to feel really complete about Q1. Which brings us to Q2, starting off in April. We repotted some plants. A big highlight was Dance Week. I created a special challenge for National Dance Week, the Get Down Daily Challenge. And I love celebrating Easter and got some tickets home, planned a workshop, and planned to start teaching in another location, kept track of some metrics. Not so much in the way of viewing, although we were watching Killing Eve and White Lotus. Those were pretty great. And yes, I started this book series, the Mahu series, which I have mixed feelings about. Some of it's really dated and not necessarily, the most current, but also first of its kind that I've read. Gay police crime series, sort of cozy mystery that takes place in Waikiki and in Honolulu, which makes me feel so nostalgic, and I really enjoyed the setting part as well, especially since I was about to visit home. Weeklies included Easter celebrations and such. All of the aforementioned things. Some more year of planning stuff, including Bujo collections I have or like to keep. Spring sort of bucket list, fun list. I'll be doing more with this and all of my seasonal sort of favorites spreads coming up in the coming year. And then in May, the big highlight was going home and then also planning to travel further in the summer. So I was at home and listened to some great things. A big highlight was getting turned on to sumo, watching sumo on television as well as practicing Tai Chi, and also for the first time I'm seeing a show, the Rikki Tikki Tavi Ballet and Paquita at or through West Hawaii Dance Theater at the Kahilu Theater, and teaching a special workshop while I was at home, a choreography workshop that was really successful and so much fun. And my little baby nephew was born as well, so that was a big highlight once I got back to Cologne, having a new baby in the family. Me and my dad, being home stuff. Also with mom, lots of Hawaiian themes, mermaids, whales, fun stuff. I had level 10 life. I'm not going to focus on that here. List of stuff to do while I was at home. And weekly refresh process. Again, year of planning and a summer fun sort of bucket listy list, which this is pointing out where quarter 2 is at. But before I got there, I had June, Pride Month, and my birthday month. So it's all crazy. It got all crazy collage-wise and memory-keeping-wise. Yeah, my birthday was a big highlight, as well as renewing my visum, my work visa, which has now been renewed for 3 years. Big, big, big highlight of the year. And celebrating with my cousins in Amsterdam. We got to meet up and they showed us around by boat. New baby. Music in June. Read a really great book, or started reading Storyworthy, which then inspired me to participate in Camp NaNoWriMo later in the year. Was that July, I think? I'm pretty sure. And we've got to be at a free live concert for the African Music Festival, which was awesome. Strawberry Moon, Strawberry Everything, Polo, not Polo, the horse races. In Hawaii it would have been Polo that I followed, but here I went to my first ever horse race this spring, and that was so fun with friends. And then our Amsterdam weekend was so fun. Beautiful artwork and architecture and food and family. And then we have my birthday, 42, so I discovered finally the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Also, of course, the solstice and time with friends and family. And then, yes, just summer fun in the park, in the gardens of friends. Just a little record keeping of documents that I have at home if I should need them, if I need my parents to get them, or if I need to grab anything while I'm home. After June, of course, comes my quarter 2 summary, which is still a bit incomplete as well. I got my work cut out for me. This is a picture from Amsterdam, some of my first half highlights, so sort of a 6-month review included the Storyworthy book and a podcast about Anne Bonny. And I also hosted another challenge, the Spark of Creativity Challenge, while I was at home. So that made for 3 challenges or workshops that I did in quarter 2, as well as traveling home and to Amsterdam, practicing Tai Chi, celebrations of my birthday, and sort of incomplete record keeping that I think I could fill in a little bit more detailed, or some of it I will just let it go and just look at my overall effort over the course of the year and just know that these are the things that I intend to practice regularly. I am doing that, and that's the point. Whether my record keeping is perfect or not, the point is to motivate me to be doing the things and being the person, and if that's happening, then great. Summertime dance music playlist, so fun. Had fun setting this up. This was an early draft of teaching schedule for the summer. So summer's a little different from during the year, but that's what some of the things I was up to over the course of the summer. And then some more fun pictures from being in Amsterdam. To-do in Kona. So I have a to-do in Kona, to-do in Cologne, sort of touristy lists or fun to-do lists that will be ongoing for my favorite cities. Here's a spread I made for my birthday, which also has a blog that I wrote about it, just sort of in no particular order, 42 pieces of wisdom or things that I've learned. And Q3 has some really cute Pride stickers on it because Pride in Cologne's actually early July, so sort of June and July are Pride months for me. And we got some real cute stickers this year. And this book actually starts with July, so I have a little index and just a really fun little mood board. I found this vintage postcard at the market around the corner from us and used it as sort of the jumping off place for a very peachy July and summer, including subbing Camp Nano memoir. So I did some writing, some short stories from my real life over the course of the month, and that was so fun. I have a spread about that later, I think. Did the Tiny Steps Simplicity Challenge, worked on a year of planning, got my visa, worked on some mid-year review stuff, but I didn't get that complete, so it's not checked off completely. Celebrated Pride, etc. This was a whole Pride celebration. Took some notes on that. Scratch and sniff sticker. And yeah, some more summer fun, an art opening, sunsets in the park, picnics, got some new sunglasses, hung out with the baby, had some cool and rainy days, did some reading, writing, got ready for a new position. And here we have, and I do also have 2 blogs about this, both when I was preparing and then also once I was done sort of wrapping it up on Camp National Nano Writing Month. And there's an emphasis in writing memoir or true stories. That's an option there. And so that's what I was working on, inspired by Storyworthy. And yeah, I had so much fun writing those stories and want to keep continuing to grow my skill at writing sort of creative nonfiction and memoir. And then we move into August, which was a citrusy. So we're going with that fruity, juicy, fun, sort of a new teaching schedule, writing about mid-year refreshes, working hard on Alice in Wonderland Ballet, which was a big emphasis of this year too, helping produce that, getting the kids on stage successfully, starting teaching at Henry Ford, sort of more yoga and dance classes for a wide variety of ages, had some health sort of scare that was nothing serious, but a preoccupation this year. I also had a lot of technology issues this year somehow. And let's see, we watched the Women's World Cup. Actually, that was really fun. And yeah, did some more reading. The Creative Act is a book I'm still working on. I avoided reading The War of Art for so long because I was turned off by that whole idea, Art of War, War of Art. Anything with the word war in the title, it was just sort of, I don't know. I just waited on it. And of course it ended up being really valuable. We watched a concert, hilarious concert from this men's choir, and ate lots of fresh fruits over the summer and got ready for teaching and did some artwork with my new water brush. Went to the rose garden a lot, did a lot of artist dates, relaxing in the warm weather, promoting new classes. And that's through August. And then in September, of course, a lot more started, a lot more teaching in schools. For anything on the academic calendar really fired up, as well as celebrating our 5th anniversary. Self-Care September was awesome. And oh my gosh, I'm about halfway through now, Alphabet Superset, but that's been another really key theme of my year, and the Creating Beauty is participating in that creative challenge. So we also got to do a little travel in September, an annual wine tour that we do with friends, so that was a blast. Wow, and I just really did a lot of media recording, maybe consuming too, but especially recording. Oh, and I did this 3D effect on my spreads, which I love. Any particular highlights? Oh my gosh, the Renfield Dracula movie and The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea book was also an outstanding book this year. Yeah. Celebrating, like I said, so that's all summed up. Also, we had the autumn equinox, went spontaneously to this Renaissance festival, Spectaculum. That was awesome. And here, I just love this. Hello, tourist. Our wine tour, a little bit of that. And then I have a bunch of teaching logs, which I'm not going to share the details of that. And some challenges, a little bit of other things that I'm following up with in the future, sort of personal inspiration. Which brings us to Q3 summary, which is extremely incomplete. I haven't done any of the tallying for this, at least here. I have it elsewhere, but I still need to count that all up, as well as my annual stuff. So to be continued. And Q4 is in the current book, is actually still in the band here, because I'll be using this book, like I said, for 4 months into or through February. And I had so much fun creating a really Thanksgiving-y, old-timey November cover page, as you can see, end of 2023, beginning of 2024. So very festive holiday book overall. And cooking and baking was therefore an even bigger theme. I had a visit with I talked about my cousin's visit, but I wanted to follow up with some writing. Didn't do that, but did celebrate World Ballet Day, which was awesome as always. A great, very inspiring viewing experience, as well as creating more mini choreographies for the Alphabet Superset. This is Le Creuset from a gift we received last year, and just was so fun to use that sort of waste, that ephemera, in my bullet journal. I did a pretty good job this month, but didn't say much about it. But the big thing really in November was Alice in Wonderland. We successfully created that performance. It was a joy for everyone who was involved pretty much, and so pleased that that was a success. And after that, I did a lot of recovering and sort of fall stuff, so that was cute. I noted stocked up on socks, soap, and stationery. So sort of my squirrely nature of preparing the nest for the winter, and also reading and organizing my reading on the Kindle was an important thing as I was recovering from the big effort of preparing for the show. Weekly spreads were very sort of fallish and foodish and homey. Gift from a family here, some chocolates. And we got to enjoy a delicious Thanksgiving meal. More stamps going throughout the year. Drinking some delicious tea, celebrating Advent. And December, the end of the year, was very pastel, inspired by this nutcrackery. By the way, I didn't mention it so far, but a lot of these papers are actually origami paper. That's been something fun I've been doing in the last year, is using nice thin origami paper because there's so many beautiful colors and patterns and designs to sort of inspire the whole colors and pictures and things of the spread. So that's been just really a lot of fun. December, I haven't said anything about it, narrative or highlight wise, so I've got a little marker in here, but I did watch a lot of, read a lot of, listen, consume a lot of media. Some of my favorite Christmas things included, such as Casimiro Christmas and Muppets Christmas, Nutcracker, and music for my classes. Read a book that I have mixed feelings about. It was well written, but I just really didn't like the main character of Yellowface, and did love a nice cozy holiday book, The Mystery of at Mistletoe Manor. Some great series and films, and yeah, finishing up teaching for the year, finishing up everything for the year, celebrating my partner's birthday, baking for the holidays, and another big highlight was one of my best friends came to visit. So that was part of late December. Was also another visit to Cologne, which is so fun being tourists here, eating donuts at the end of the year, and wrapping up 2023. Quarter four has nothing yet. So things to do. Quarter four summary. This Christmas spread is fairly personal, but I did keep a list of Christmas cards and cookies, and that's really it, cards and cookies, not really any other gift giving that I did that was really complicated or detailed, but I did have a nice holiday picture I printed up. And then we move into the Jahresrückblog challenge, so annual retrospective blog challenge hosted by Judith Peters. I'm not done with this. I'm still reflecting on my year, and this blog or video or whatever this is a part of that. And so this was just some brainstorming and listing and initial sort of posts and highlights and lowlights and things from the year, but I'm not done yet. I think that takes however long it takes. So I'm still reflecting and working on processing everything into more succinct themes and learnings for myself and to share. So that's ongoing, but still has been so helpful. This challenge was so helpful in that process, and I really enjoyed it and recommend. Of course, it's in German, so if you are a German speaker. More teaching notes follow that, and then we have the very beginning of January. I have not finished this spread yet, still in progress, but it is started and I'm having so much fun with it. But that's sort of year to come planning. Had to get going since we are in January. Had so much fun creating this sort of mood, still carrying on the holidays and into the end of winter, really the middle of winter, but we'll say the end of winter because in sort of February it's still winter, but in March I really feel like we're leaning towards spring. So continuing sort of snowflakes and woodland creatures, lots of birds in my 2024 inspiration, flights and leaping and things like that. So I do also share about my word of the year separately, so look out for that. And of course the sort of summary of my reflection and looking back, looking forward to come.